Fab maps and the cartography of the invisible, fragments on feedback ecology and participatory field recording. I can try to present myself in this pirate costume as if it happened by chance. Apart, we are together. Why are freight ships in the Columbia River, which forms the border between Oregon and Washington and is a major highway for international shipping traffic, of any interest to a field recording, sound artist? To answer I must refer to Mallarmé's poem, The White Water Lily, where a silent boater takes a short trip to meet a lady apparently staying along the water. When he approaches, he hears what must be her footsteps, but enjoying the proximity, departs without seeing or being seen by her. Jacques Rancière contextualizes the being together apart of the silent boater and invisible lady with Georges Seurat's Sunday Afternoon on the island of La Grande Jatte and Bathers at Asnières, which portray variations on 19th-century Parisian leisure. He also finds the paradox of together/apart in a work by French artist group Urban Encampment called I and Us, where responding to discussions with residents in a Parisian suburb in which riots broke out in 2005, the artists constructed a place that could only be occupied by one person at one time for the purpose of solitary meditation or contemplation. A contradictory need to the view that the social bond has been destroyed by mass individualism and must be recreated. These sorts of juxtapositions and disjunctions are very evident along the Columbia River. There is a popular city beach where the Willamette River joins the Columbia, the geographical center of Portland, Oregon. The beach presents a similar scene to the work of Seurat and other Impressionist-era painters, where factories, railroads, and other signs of encroaching industrialization are incorporated into pastoral nature scenes. The Portland beach is wedged between industrial ports where freight ships unload cars on the Columbia side and grain or mineral bulk on the Willamette. I first went there the last summer before the beach was closed for swimming after several drownings. The water is deep and treacherous as a channel was dug by the Army Corps of Engineers to accommodate international shipping traffic. A rusted plaque commemorates this, but it is hidden by weeds. Yet, it was a common sight that summer where an oblivious bather, floating in a brightly colored inner tube, resting a beer on their belly, drifted far out into the shipping channel. Such unwittingly perilous scenes reminded me that 21st-century pirates often ambush freight ships from inland beaches. The Columbia empties into the Pacific Ocean after traveling through some of America's agricultural corridors. Other than grain, minerals, and consumer goods, fossil fuels are the primary passengers on the river's traffic. However, it is Washington's Puget Sound that presents a case study in underwater noise pollution, frequently cited in international media. The impact on migrating whale populations from military bases and naval operations as well as shipping traffic and other sources having significant, demonstrable urgency. Whale watching is a popular pursuit all over the Pacific Northwest, but the closest to a whale that drifts through the Columbia River are freight ships themselves. Compared to the obnoxious, outboard motors of jet skis, fishing boats, and pleasure craft, the ships are silent and majestic creatures. Of course, freight ships are actually among the worst sonic polluters. Their ubiquity as means of transporting most of the world's commodities should indicate the low priority of such effects. As a Columbia River swimmer over many following summers at many different locations both up and downstream, I spent much time listening to boat motors underwater and comparing their output from above and below the surface. Likewise, I have especially documented freight ship engine noise with hydrophone recording. The results are rather anticlimactic to me. Even with my naked ears, it is clear how engine noise homogenizes the underwater soundscape. From great distances nothing else is audible. Yet, using sensitive hydrophones, the results are similar to what I hear with my ears. There is no moment of revelation like when a piezo contact mic reveals another universe, or what Oscar Fischinger described to John Cage as the spirit inside each object. Although a resonant, metal orchestra can be glimpsed in proximity to a docked ship's creaking, steel hull. I presume that such an orchestra, magnified in motion through a great body of water, were akin to what non-human, aquatic species must hear. How could I experience such mysteries myself? My ship spotting intensified once the COVID-19 pandemic began. Together/apart became the refrain of quarantine, and the maritime industry garnered global media attention due to supply chain disruptions and the evergreen company's ever-given freight ship getting stuck in the Suez Canal. As even more of daily life was absorbed by the internet, this period of network disconnection brought to mind the post-World War II era of cybernetic optimism and the utopian dreaming that led to the internet's creation. Watching freight ships, division between local and global began to fray in an uncanny way. Buckminster Fuller's operating manual for Spaceship Earth describes an age of the great pirates, where only the seafaring had more than a localized view, and thus exercised great power over those stuck on land in sovereign nation-states. Far more powerful than political leaders, the pirates' dominance came from their ability to navigate Earth systems and connect disparate localities through control of waterways. Invisibility was their ultimate source of power, operating not only beyond the laws, but even the awareness of most of the land-dwelling. Their reign came to an end around World War I when communication and information exchange through radio, telegraphy, and other electronic means had fully emerged as the new currency of power. Invisibility gave the pirates their power, but they lost it to those who harnessed the invisible electromagnetic spectrum. Fuller predicted that architects, planners, and designers would replace the great pirates' treachery with sustainability, but it is hard to see more than persistence of the pirates' now ghostly prerogatives. Precisely such ghostliness gave me insight to the sonic revelation of the spirit inside each object that I sought. The engine noise was reminiscent of musicians who use guitar pickups to amplify motors instead of strings, such as Keith Rowe and instrument builder Neil Feather. Following such frequencies into the urban landscape as in the electromagnetic soundwalks of Christina Kubich arrives at what Douglas Kahn calls the electrosonic, the world of Eola in electronics. Radio existed before it was invented. When Alvin Lucier was asked why he moved from brainwaves to natural sounds, he replied simply that brainwaves are natural sounds. Electromagnetic storms in the ionosphere used in whistlers and the alpha brainwaves in music for solo performer are equally natural. The electrosonic blurs the line between nature and technology. I now pursue underwater electromagnetism with an obsession that is unapologetically occult. Melville did much to give voice and visibility to the maritime industry and its workers, what Deleuze and Guattari describe as inventing a people, part of the monumental function of literature, or creative fabulation. Whales are no longer used as a fuel source, the high seas are more the administered yet still unseen world of Bartleby. And I am transformed into an inverse Ahab, mobilis in mobili, moving within a moving element like Nemo's Nautilus. Enmeshed in the force field of spiritualized capitalism, I seek to give form to the invisible forces that shape a landscape, the historical suffering inscribed in the tide cycles. The song of the earth lies concealed like a shipwreck's splintered treasure chest. But it cannot be plundered, for as Mallarmé knows, an algorithm can never abolish chance. Onward to Mount Analog.